This video released by the Korean News answers a lot of questions that we wanted answers for. In this video, I'm going through the known information we have, and using my tools, I'm going to be able to estimate critical details like touchdown speed and video locations. Now, I won't bury the lead. The first thing we notice from this video is that the plane is not configured to land. There's no landing gear and there's no flaps. Now, the first thing we have to address is a couple days before this, the aircraft did have an emergency diversion, Squawk 7700, and diverted to a different airport. That incident has been confirmed to be a passenger issue and not an issue with the aircraft, so it is unrelated to this crash. The flight started at an airport near Bangkok in Thailand and ended here in Muon in South Korea. According to all reports, the flight was completely uneventful until this accident. The plane involved was a Boeing 737-800 that originally flew in 2009 and flew through Ryanair until 2017 when it was delivered to Jeju Air. This airport has a high incidence of bird strikes and even has bird activity areas listed on its charts. Now for the accident sequence. At approximately 8:54 a.m., the plane attempted its first landing on runway 1. That's the runway going almost straight north. The pilots aborted the landing, performing a go-around maneuver. 3 minutes later, at 8:57 a.m., the crew was warned of bird activity in the area. 1 minute later, the plane declared an emergency. Approximately 6 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., the plane attempted an emergency landing on runway 19. That's the southbound runway, completely opposite to the one they just attempted to land on. Here, the aircraft overran the runway and crashed into a wall at the end. Next is an analysis of this clip, and while you're up looking at the plane, I'm looking at the ground. Note the glass banisters, the location of the shadows, and the mountains in the background. We know the accident happened at 9 a.m., so if I set up all my conditions right, we can figure out exactly where this footage was taken from. The shadows tell us the view faces south, and these mountains look very much like the ones south of the runway. That means the footage was most likely taken from this building, which was built after 2015 when the latest street view images were taken. That means this engine incident happened during the first approach and likely caused the go-around. We can also figure out how fast the plane is going by analyzing the video. We can count approximately 44 frames between the plane reaching the end of the threshold and the end of the pavement. That's approximately 1.466 seconds on this 30 frames a second video. Note that we use the shadow because it's not subject to perspective changes. We can measure the distance of the displaced threshold and see it's 121.43 meters. That means the plane is traveling at 82.81 meters per second or 160.9 knots. But why was there no landing gear and flaps? During a go-around, one of the first steps a pilot performs is to retract the landing gear and start retracting the flaps. This reduces drag and helps the plane climb faster. During an engine failure, one of the steps is to start shutting down the failed engine. It's possible that during this emergency in this critical phase of flight, the pilots accidentally shut down the wrong engine, the one that was still working. And this wouldn't be the first time that had happened. In 2017, a flight from Delhi to Mumbai had the pilots shut down the wrong engine during an engine failure. If both engines were shut down, both hydraulic pumps would be shut off, and there'd be no power for the backup electric pumps. But the Boeing 737 has a backup system, a set of levers that will drop the landing gear using gravity alone. Unfortunately, these levers are not in a very ergonomic position. Faced with losing altitude and airspeed, the pilots may just not have been able to reach those levers in time. But why is there a wall at the end of the runway? That wall is used to elevate the ILS approach system. Keeping those antennas off the ground makes the system much more reliable and helps planes land in very poor weather. But those walls can also be used to protect people and property around the airport. Just beyond that wall, several buildings, including vacation hotels. While it made the accident look much more dramatic, it may have been responsible for saving many more lives. The black boxes have already been recovered, and the NTSB has been tasked to work on this case. We're going to have more details in the coming months.